guys, welcome back to another video, and this time round I'm going to take a look at Mesut Ozil's career at Arsenal as promised. Of course, there's never been a player at Arsenal who has divided opinions as much as Ozil. Some people want him to stay, some people want him to go. Some people think he's not contributing as much as he should. Some people think the money he's given is too much. Some people think it's not his fault. So yeah, he divides opinions very much. So I'm going to take a look at all his contributions at Arsenal, the good and the bad for the last 7 years since he joined in 2013. And just before I get into that, as usual these days, I hope everyone is keeping safe and I hope everyone is taking good care of themselves. Let's keep praying for the world and let's hope we get through this very soon. Now to Mesut Ozil, and just before I get into his last 7 seasons, I'll have a card up there. I'll have a poll. Make sure you vote. Just click on the information tab up there. It should pop up right now. Just vote. The question is, would you keep Ozil? Keep or sell? Which one would you do? Would you keep him or would you sell him? Now to the video. Mesut Ozil joined Arsenal in 2013 September. I remember when he joined Arsenal, I was so excited. I mean, I was like, we actually signed someone for £42 million. I was really shocked because before that we hadn't really made such major signings, and I think the most money we ever spent on a player before Ozil was like 20 to 30 million, which for an Arsenal team that was trying to compete for titles and finish in the top 4 every season was really a shock, because the likes of Man City were spending 40 million on Robinho, and that is just an example. So when Mesut Ozil joined Arsenal, it was a 5-year deal, and later on his contract leaked, and apparently we had only paid 37 million and the rest was supposed to be paid in installments. And for the Ozil seasons at Arsenal, some have been really good and some have been bad, and we're going to see this and in this what I'm going to talk about. The first season, 2013-2014, he made his debut against Sunderland away from home. I'm not sure how many of you remember that game, but within 11 minutes he had his first assist for Giroud. This will be a trend because he had so many assists for Giroud at Arsenal. 3 days later, he made his Champions League debut against Marseille. Also 3 weeks later, he made his Premier League home debut against Stoke City. He was involved in all 3 goals, 2 assists, and he also took a free kick that the keeper saved and Ramsey scored from the rebound. So if you're an FPL fan, that is basically 3 assists. He scored his first goal for Arsenal against Napoli, a very good volley from a Ramsey cross. We won that game 2-0. On 19th October that same year, 2013, he scored his first Premier League goals, a brace against Norwich, with the game we won 4-1. I also had further assists for Ramsey, Wilshere, even Flamini in the Champions League and the Premier League. He also missed a penalty against Marseille in the Champions League in the same season. And later on that season, he also missed another penalty against Bayern Munich. So he's never really a good penalty taker or someone you depend on. He also featured in the UEFA Team of the Year that season, and he was shortlisted for the Ballon d'Or, surprisingly. In December of that year, he scored some goals against Hull and Everton. He also assisted against Man City, the game we won. We lost 6-3. You'll remember he had an altercation with Mertesacker at the end of the game. Other players were going to thank the fans, but he was just walking off. So Mertesacker was like arguing with him and stuff. He was the captain at that time, Mertesacker. Also that season, remember that season we won the FA Cup, so he really contributed. He assisted for Podolski in the FA Cup and also for Santi Cazorla and later on in the next stages. As I've said, he missed a penalty against Bayern, but he scored in the FA Cup quarter-final against Everton, and he was substituted against Bayern, with an hamstring injury. That season he played a total of 40 games. He had 7 goals and 13 assists. Now to the next season, 2014-2015. Just before he got into that season, of course, he had won the World Cup with Germany, which he had also contributed very much. So he won the FA Cup and won the World Cup and also won the Community Shield that season. In September, he had a couple of assists before suffering a knee injury in a 2-0 defeat against Chelsea. He came back in 11th of January, so he basically missed around 3 to 4 months, and he came in as a substitute with a 3-0 win against Stoke. He scored on his return to the starting lineup against Brighton in the FA Cup. Also that season we won back-to-back FA Cups, and he also contributed, as you can see. His first EPL game back, he scored and assisted in a 5-0 win against Aston Villa, and he also scored at White Hart Lane, if you remember that goal. I think it was a Bellerin assist, but we lost that game 2-1. I think Harry Kane scored both goals on his first games. I remember that. I think it was his debut in the North London Derby, I think. He also had a pair of assists against Leicester and Everton, and also scored a free kick against Liverpool. We won that game 4-1. He also had 2 assists for Alexis Sanchez in the semi-final of the FA Cup, so he definitely contributed very, very much that season for us to win that FA Cup again. That season in total, he had 5 goals, 9 assists in 33 appearances. The next season, 2015-2016, arguably his best season at Arsenal so far. He scored his first goal versus Man U on 4th October, plus he assisted Sanchez. He also assisted Giroud in a 3-0 away win. He also scored a goal against Bayern that season. We actually used to play Bayern in every single season. He got the man of the match against Bayern. He broke the EPL record that season he became the first player to assist in 6 consecutive games when he set up Gibbs against Tottenham. He extended that to 7 games against West Brom in the same season, basically the next game. He also scored his second UCL goal of the season in a 3-0 victory versus Zagreb. He also scored against Norwich in a 1-1 draw. He also had 4 assists in the next 3 games against Aston Villa, Man City, and Sunderland. We won all those 3 games, so you can see he really contributed a lot that season. He also scored and assisted in a 2-0 win against Bournemouth. That game he also broke a record for that season, creating 9 goal-scoring chances in total in a single game. On January 2016, Ozil played his 100th game against Arsenal. That was against Chelsea. Unfortunately, we lost that game. And against Southampton later on, he created 10 chances, more than he had created earlier in the season, breaking his own record for the season. He failed to score in 3 consecutive games, but ended his drought against Bournemouth, scoring in a 2-0 away win. He delivered his 17th assist for Welbeck versus Leicester. We all remember when he scored a late goal against Leicester when we thought we were going to win the league, but wow, we dropped off later on. He also scored and assisted at Old Trafford that time that Rashford made his Premier League debut. Ozil scored and assisted in that game. He also assisted Welbeck against Watford in the game we lost in the FA Cup that season. We were also beaten by Barcelona 3 days later, so we left both cups within 3 days. He also assisted Giroud in a 4-0 victory. That was his 19th assist. And in total that season, he had 8 goals and 20 assists. And he, as expected, he won the Premier League, not the Premier League, the Arsenal Player of the Season for that season. To the next season, 2016-2017, obviously it would have been tough to replicate his season before. He was just 1 assist away from the record. Henry holds that record of 20 assists from 2002-2003. The next season, 16-17, he missed the first few games because of his involvement in the Euro 2016. He started versus Watford and scored a header in a 3-1 victory. He also scored a volley against Chelsea in a 3-0 victory. If you remember that game, we scored 3 goals in the first half. He also assisted Theo Walcott against Ludogorets and scored his first professional hat-trick that season against Ludogorets. We also remember in the away game against Ludogorets, he scored the goal of the season, where he passed 3 players, passed the goalkeeper, and then cut back again. You remember that goal. In 29th of October that season, he assisted for the first time that season for Giroud away at Sunderland. He won the Player of the Month in October that season. As I've said, goal of the season against Ludogorets in a 3-2 comeback. He also scored the opener when we won 5-1 against West Ham away from home. That game that Sanchez scored a hat-trick. He assisted one of the goals. He also assisted for Iwobi against Basel, scored a winner against Stoke with a header, assisted against West Brom in a 1-0 victory, also assisted Giroud against Burnley, and assisted Mustafi yet again. So he really is the king of assists. He struggled with muscular problems that season. He came back against Man City in a 2-2 draw. He managed to assist the equalizer. He ended a 4-month Bayern run without scoring a goal against West Ham, scoring a volley, and also 3 more assists against Middlesbrough that season. That season in general, he He actually ended with 12 goals and 13 assists in 44 games. So actually, from the previous season, this wasn't that bad because he got a few numbers too. Now to the next season, 2017-2018, we still had Sanchez, we still had Ozil, but Ozil was now getting into his last year of the contract, and this is where everything changed. He scored a goal and assisted in that game against Everton when we won 5-2. I remember Rooney scoring for them. He also had a couple of assists against Swansea and Spurs, and also assisted twice against Huddersfield and scored. He also scored in back-to-back games against West Ham and scored that nice finish from a Lacazette assist against Liverpool when he drew 3-3. He also assisted twice while negotiating his contract in January. And that time Sanchez left Arsenal, Mkhitaryan joined, and I think that time Wenger and Gazidis just had to give Ozil more money just to keep him, because if Sanchez and Ozil left at the same time, it would have been a disaster and the fans would have obviously turned on the club. So he was given a 3-year contract and 350k a week, and that is where everything changed. He scored against Ostersund in February in the Europa League and also had assists against AC Milan. On March 11th, he recorded his 50th assist in the Premier League. That was the quickest player to ever reach 50 assists. He only did it in 141 appearances, breaking Cantona's record. He also had a hat-trick of assists against CSKA Moscow. In total that season, he had 5 goals, 13 assists in 35 appearances. To the 2018-2019 season after Wenger, now this was Emery's first season. Wilshere departed first and Ozil was given the number 10. He scored against Newcastle on September. That was the first of the many games that he went unbeaten under Emery. He netted again against Voshkla in the Europa League and also scored against Watford in the Premier League. So Watford and Newcastle were his favorite opponents in the Premier League so far. He also got the man of the match against Leicester, scored and got 2 assists, one for Aubameyang. I don't remember who the other one was. He also involved in the first team his involvement in the first team began to falter after that. That is when we started hearing rumors about him and Emery. But he came back and scored a goal and assist against Bournemouth in a 5-1 win, and he also scored in the last games against Crystal Palace just before our season went dead. He got 6 goals and 4 assists in general, so basically his worst season at Arsenal so far, and it was the first season under Emery. Also, after the Europa League final, he vocalized his frustration with Emery to his fellow teammates. So, yeah, to the 2019-2020 season now, Emery's half season. He didn't play the first games because of the attempted robbery that Kolasinac helped him with. He didn't play the first few games, but played against Watford in September. He was left out for Aston Villa, Man U, and a few other games. He played in the League Cup against Nottingham, but was substituted again, played against Liverpool. I think he was the captain in the 5-5 draw, again substituted. This season, that time before Emery left, he only had 1 goal, 2 assists, and 1 assist in the League Cup. And actually, the 2 assists in the Premier League, I don't think it even came under Emery. It came under Ljungberg, if I'm not wrong, and the first few games under Arteta. So obviously Emery left, and under Arteta has been playing a lot of games. He's been playing 90 minutes. I think he has improved a lot under Arteta. As you can see, he normally dominates in passes. He has 60.79 passes completion per match. He has a 68% success rate in his tackles, surprisingly. He's made 2 errors leading to goals so far in his Arsenal career. He never wins aerial duels. He's lost 83 and 128. Recoveries, he's made 778. So in general at Arsenal, you'd say he's only had 1 bad season if you think about it. Obviously in the 2015-2016 season, I don't think he'll ever reach those kind of levels. But these days, I don't think he plays the same way. He had players surrounding him which he could pass the ball around with them. But this season and last season, I know Emery's contributions too has also killed his confidence. But wow, what would we say about him? I think he's contributed as much as he can at Arsenal, and I think with his age especially, I don't think he can contribute more. So for me, I think we should get money for him this season. He also got involved in something with Chinese TV that made the Arsenal game not get shown in China sometime last year. So such altercations is what we don't need in the team. And being an experienced player, you'd expect him to do much for us, but he's not really contributing. So for me, I'd sell him. And as I've said, let me know what you guys would do. Click on the information tab up there and vote. Would you keep or would you sell him? So that is Mesut Ozil at Arsenal. I really wanted to do this video. You can't really talk about Mesut Ozil for 2 minutes. Actually, I could make this video like 2 hours long, but of course, yeah, I need to keep it short. So let me know what you do with him, keep or sell. I'll have my links to my other videos down in the description. Keep staying safe. Thanks for watching this video. God bless.